Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody, wherever you are in the world. Thank you for joining us today. The third in our series of webinars that we're hosting here at Palisade Compliance. And today I'm really excited to be joined by Louise McCarthy. Louise, welcome to our little show here. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Craig. Thank you very much. Good morning, afternoon, evening, everybody that's on the call.
Right, wherever they are. They could be anywhere. So Louise, when I bring on someone that we're talking to, I print out their LinkedIn CV because I want to highlight a few things. Yours is 11 pages long, which is by far the longest one ever. So you've got 12 open items here that you say, hey, I'm doing this. That. How do you manage that? You are so busy, it seems.
I am actually. I mean, I don't tend to switch off at the moment. I'm a portfolio now, so it's not one big career, but I'm into lots of things now. I've got a portfolio roles, non-exec directors of banks. I'm supporting some tech companies. And then obviously my more recent exciting role at the moment with Athena Ventures and Evrensel Capital Partners. But it's for me, I just don't switch off. I'm so, even at this age of a 56-year-old woman, I'm still full of energy and never switch off.
Well, I'm just a couple of years behind you, so... But I've been, we've known each other for a few years now, and you've had that same energy years ago. Right? This is nothing new. It's pretty cool to see. So I want to thank you really for joining us. Normally when we have these talks, we're talking about Oracle, we're talking about technology, we're talking about sort of that same old thing. But this is a little different. We're talking about women entrepreneurs, women in business, sort of what you're doing now. So it's a little bit out of my comfort zone, right? I'm not sort of an expert at this by any means. I'm really excited to talk to you and learn from you and your experiences. And maybe folks who are dialed in here, they can ask questions, they can put it in the chat, and we'll be happy to go through them here. So I guess my first question to you is, tell me a little bit about what you're doing with Athena and Evrensel and the new ventures that you have around entrepreneurship. Excuse me.
Yeah, I mean, I wake up every day and I absolutely am loving what I'm doing. I think I've been in the corporate world now for 38 years and started my career as a CFO in finance and then ended up in digital transformation for financial services companies, for example. And I decided one day that, the corporate world's great, but I really want to do something different. And all the way through my career for 38 years, I've been involved with, I myself has been a lonesome female on many boards or in leadership teams and seen the struggles that I've had and other females have had in the corporate world. And I just thought, and also I've been mentoring and supporting females in technology, and I've been a judge in technology. So I just thought, that's one area that I really can give something back. And I'm at the end of my career now, and I just thought, this is time that I want to create some sort of legacy. So I was so lucky, literally 5 months ago, to meet this absolutely incredible guy, Anthony Moore, who heads up Evrensel Capital Partners, who's ex-Goldman Sachs. And we were talking about Evrensel and how Evrensel is investing in ESG-related things. So Tony, like myself, wants to leave a legacy and give something back. So he wants to do his best to do something about changing the planet. So a lot of his ESG focuses around ESG, rainforests, mango groves, wastewater treatment, and things like that. But I reminded him that ESG also includes diversity. And I just said, look, wouldn't it be incredible to do something back for female founders? Literally only 2% of females get investment. And that's, that's terrible. This day and age in 2022, only 2% of females get it. So we've done quite a bit of research and trying to understand why that is. And I'll come to that in a little while about why I believe that is the case. But Tony said, look, if you want to do something in the female founder space, I'll completely support you. And that is really an incredible thing. So I'm doing something that I love. And I wake up every day and think, what can I do to change that stat on 2% of females being invested? So we created Athena Ventures literally 4 months ago. And Athena Ventures, it's all about investing in female founders. So only one or two of the founders being female. But it's anywhere in the world. The founders can be based anywhere in the world. We've got founders in Africa, we've got Israel, we've got Europe, US, and even we're just about to move into Australia as well. And in 4 months, without any advertising, we have 38 female founders that we're investing in.
Wow.
And that's about £46 million so far that we're going to be investing. But it just feels great. It just feels good to know that we're helping all of those founders. And our strategy this year is to expand that number to another 60 or 70. So we'll probably end up with 100 female founders. Now, whether that changed the stat of 2% being invested in females, I don't know, because the number's declining. Last year it was 2.7%. This year it's 2%. But if I know I'm doing something to, add back, then that would be incredible for me.
First of all, the number 2% is shocking. What's the number? Are you saying that 2% of all investments go to female founders, or just 2% of female founders get investments?
I think 2% of investment goes to females.
So 98% is going to male investors.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely.
Crazy.
It is. And when I've done my research, and we've been involved in some McKinsey research and some Bain, and the reason I think it is many, many reasons. But I think the first thing is the investing community is mainly male dominated. Only 10% of females have are partners on the VC world. And then you question, well, okay, that shouldn't make any difference on females, but it does, because men tend to invest in men. And I say it's a boys' club, so hopefully nobody's going to beat me up over this. But men tend to invest in their own like type. They invest in what they know, so they invest in white, male technology people. And also, staggering, I heard that men tend to ask questions very differently to female founders as they would to men. And what do I mean by that? So if you're a female, your questions tend to be on the negative side. So what will happen if you make losses? And, how do you think you can expand your business? Whereas if they're asking questions to men, it's around how are you going to grow, and your profits are phenomenal. And it all seems to be on the positive side. So I think, how can we change that? I think it's from our side, it's from the investing side, that we need to be a bit more positive. We should be encouraging more female in the finance space, encouraging females. And that's what we're all about. That's what Athena is all about.
It's, as someone just wrote, it's shocking, but at the same time, not so. That was Bob Booth. I'm surprised at the number, and I'm surprised it's gone down. Right? I was like, 2.7%. That can't. There's nowhere to go but up, but it's actually gone down. Mm-hmm. Just to backtrack 1 second for those who might not know, what does ESG stand for?
So environmental, social, and governance. So it's around. I mean, everybody's familiar with carbon emissions, but then it's not just about carbon emissions. And government has actually passed, as everybody knows, the responsibility of ESG into corporates. So, everybody's focused on carbon and what we can do to sustainability. But then there's the other elements on top of that, and that is around society, it's around diversity. So it's an all-encompassing ESG measure. It's not just one. Got it.
And you mentioned before that the amount of money that you've already invested in female entrepreneurs and female-run businesses or owned businesses. But I'm sure the support you provide them is more than just money. What else are you doing for these ladies who are trying to grow their businesses and start the businesses?
So we also were investigating to say, well, also what makes females not necessarily come forward to actually be founders or start companies up. And this is from my own experience, is females tend to be a little bit less confident than males. They feel they have imposter syndrome. They're not as networked with, C-suite people of big corporates, for example. So we thought, well, what can we do to change that? So Our methodology is we find an incredible female, we find in it that has an incredible idea, and we wrap Athena around it. So Athena's not just about giving money. So angel investors tend to give a little bit of the funds. VC sometimes gives a little bit of funds. Females spend 10 times more on the road trying to get investment than males, which means they're automatically behind the curve in terms of running their business. So we said, look, if we believe passionately in the founder and the idea that they've got, then we don't make them continuously run around on the investment roadshow. We give them all the funding that they need. So we're not a VC. I mean, in fact, we don't like using the word VC for Athena because we are different. We don't talk about seed or A or B. It's about when the founders need their money, when they need the support. So that's one area. The next area we offer the founders is what we call a shared service centre. And myself, coming from a corporate world, I mean, I've worked in a world where you've had multi-nationality companies or divisions or functions, and I've been responsible in the ops role for running the shared service centre for businesses. So why don't we do the same in this world? We offer the founders a shared service centre so that they don't have to find their own CFO, they don't have to find their own CTO or HR. So when they're in their early stages of growth, all they need to think about is running the front end of the business, and we look after the back office. And it's a fraction of the costs as well that they need to. So that's the next thing we give. The other thing is most of the people involved in ECP and Athena are seasoned people like myself that have got high network, are very connected on LinkedIn to C-suite people and are great at doing the introductions. So we offer introductions to corporates. We also believe, and this is something, and you'll relate to this, is I've been involved in digital transformations in many financial services and many organizations. And it's about cleaning up in terms of the digital transformation, but then it's about being continuous. And continuous is about innovation and ideation. And organizations have gone through circles. Some of them have done the ideation and innovation in-house and then realized they didn't necessarily have the skill, so they've gone out to people to do it. And I think we're in the world at the moment where corporates prefer to see the smart, bright ideas of the innovators and the startup companies that are out there. So we're working with a number of corporates and we're partnering with a number of corporates and anybody else that wants to support us in that in terms of corporates, where we can come and be the ideation and innovation partner for those big corporates. So we can bring, say, 5 fintechs that we have within our female founders to a financial services and show them this really great, clever, smart technology that our founders have actually got to offer. And in addition, we also offer mentorship and board advisory as well. When we do our due diligence on our founders, we're able to identify where there's gaps in where they need support. So we align that and provide a non-exec director on the board of those companies where we feel that they need the most amount of skills. And then we also have a network of founders. So far we've got 38, we'll probably have 100. Every week we have a call with the founders, they network with each other, they ask each other questions. And I think it's incredible that females, you know, that they relate to each other, they can ask each other questions, they help each other. And then once a week, we have this drop-in call where we have guest speakers, and we've had some incredible guest speakers, you know, given people are so kind. They know they really want to help people. So we've had the CEO, Alex from Secret Escapes. We've had Cyber. We've had some really incredible guest speakers, you know, speaking to the founders as well. And then at the end of the journey, so we see the founders all the way through their journey. The ECP guys are experts at IPOing and M&A. Mm-hmm. So if that's the direction that the founders want to go to, then we help see them through that journey as well.
Well, you know, there's so much there. The one thing I want to just focus on for a second is the whole networking thing, right? And I think you are an amazing networker, right? Sort of we got connected, and then you've connected me with other people. I've tried to connect you. Like you have an amazing wealth of people that you know, right? There's a famous book around how to sell, and it's all about these connectors. Like you can find someone who knows 50 people in the area. And I think, for me starting a business as a guy, my network was quite small because I spent so much time at Oracle. So my entire network was people there. But then coming out here and sort of being on the other side of the table, it's not like I could really use that network to help me build my business. But I think that's really important. And whether it's women or men, starting your own business is to have that support group, or that, because you're not going to find your first customer because you put up a pretty website. You're going to find your first customer because you've got a pretty good network of people. And someone like Louise is going to say, hey, Craig, I know someone with that problem. Let me go introduce you. So that whole aspect of helping women entrepreneurs network, I think, is key. Again, as someone who didn't have much of a network 13 years ago, but it takes a long time to build that up. And I was only able to build it up because I got help from other folks. What are the bright spots, right? We see, you talked about the sort of the 2% number and some of the challenges. Obviously, your bright spot and what your firm is doing is a bright spot. But are you seeing advances anywhere? Are you seeing it getting easier for women anywhere? What do you think?
I think there's lots of people trying to help female founders. There's lots of corporates, feeling like they have to help on the diversity side of things. But I don't think there's many that are doing the full spectrum that we at Athena are hoping to do. And I think it's just creating awareness of how bad the situation is around, female founders. And I think if we can do that, and we can open the eyes of people to see, like, gosh, this is terrible, and people are prepared to help the female founders, whether it's being a mentor or, opening the doors via corporate or, networking or whatever, I think we can all do something to make a difference. And I just don't think there's enough going on at the moment. There's lots of little bits going on. I read articles, I see press. I see people writing studies about it, but I just question who's really doing something to make that difference. And in the absence of anybody else doing it, I want to do everything I can to help make a difference.
Do you see any differences in countries or regions? Is it the same in the States as it is in the UK? What about Germany, Australia, China? What do you think? It's incredible. I think Australia is probably one of the worst. I think we're probably into not even 1% of females getting investment in Australia. I think Africa's been pretty dire for a while. Africa's an area that's really interesting, actually, and it's something I really I am passionate about as well, is getting into Africa, because there's incredible females all over the world, but there's also some incredible females and innovators in Africa. And I think if you think again back around the ESG space, it's the females that tend to be the ones that are, carrying water or, doing some of these ESG related things manually. So they're the ones that know, they're the ones that have the really great ideas around innovation and to make a difference. But again, they don't have the network, the support. There's not a lot of government support around how to, help them. One of our founders, she's incredible. She's running a youth camp where, children are dropping out of school for various reasons and nobody does anything about them and they're not being educated. So we're sponsoring her to build a youth camp, which is going back to, re-educating children, which is really sad that, it gets to that the government aren't doing that to support them. So it hasn't been great in Africa either, but, it's a focus area. You go to the other extreme in terms of Israel. And I spent some time in Israel, and there's absolutely incredible female founders in Israel. We've got a huge percentage of our network of females, and incredible. And the government do so much to support founders, to support innovation. They give lots of grants as well. So, there's different areas around the globe. I haven't, touched on everything at the moment, but I think, there's hot spots and pockets where, that stat is very, very much even lower than, 2%. Looking back in sort of your journey and your career, Are there any particular women that you look up to, or that you've had mentor you along the way? Like who you talked about, reaching back and helping people up. Who reached back to help you?
Yeah, I mean, I've had mentors in my career. Some of them females, some of them males. It's probably the other way down. It's people that have worked for me. That I say a strong leader is recognizing that you don't have the right skills or where you don't have skills. I've had people that have worked for me that have actually turned out to be mentors. I've got some incredible people supporting me now at Athena, and they'd be embarrassed if I mention their names now. But they're people that I've worked with in my career, and I've been completely inspired by them. And they say the opposite. They say, I've been inspired by them. And this is just what females are about, aren't they? We never sort of like big-headed about what we do. And, I've got people that have, really fought through lots of battles, or had a really tough time and still managed to work their way up within the organization, overcome so many hurdles. I mean, a little bit about my background. This is probably a bit sad, but I mean, I've come from a very, very poor background. So my parents had no money. So I had to battle with, not having any education, not having any money, going straight to work, being female. So it's toughened me up. It's made me resilient. And I have had some male mentors on the way. But for the 38 years of my early day careers, there wasn't many females. There was nobody really I could turn to and say, look, how do I tackle this? How do I do this? And it was really just me pushing through. I never give up. I'm not a person that gives up. And if I say, what would be the things I would recommend to females, out there, female founders or in a big corporate world, I would say that don't give up on anything. If you start at route A and you passionately believe in something, just keep finding ways of, getting there to make it happen. And I think another recommendation I would probably say is don't be afraid to ask help from anybody. Honestly, people are so kind. I've reached out to so many people, if it's just ask a question or, have a shoulder to cry on sometimes, or, help me celebrate things. But people love to help. Whether it's male or female, people love to help, and people love you asking a question and asking to help. So I would probably say, that's another recommendation. And I lost my dad just a couple of years ago, and he was my heaven. He was just like everything to me. And my dad used to say to me, if you've got a dream, girl, just go after that dream. And I just say, female founders really don't necessarily have the right confidence, or don't have confidence sometimes, but just have it, just go after that dream. And the other thing final thing I'd say on that subject is what makes a really good CEO or founder, whether it's female or male, is you need to take a risk. If you are surrounded by, and I have been in my career, I've been surrounded by what I call mood hoovers, all the people that tell me why and how it's not going to work. And I just like think, no, I'm going to take a risk on that one. And I've taken lots of risks. Some of them, sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. But just because something doesn't work doesn't mean to say that you shouldn't do it. There's another way of doing it. It's an alternative.
Yeah, and sorry about your dad, by the way.
Yeah, that's right.
I know what that's like. So yeah. Forged in fire, right? That upbringing and sort of the battles that you have growing up and in your early and even now career. But I think that putting on my founder's hat for a second, one of the toughest things for me in the beginning was asking for help. Right. Just I sort of have this idea and I don't want to bother this person and I don't want to bother that person. And last week we had a great session with Jeff Epstein, and he's the former CFO of Oracle. And I remember he had left Oracle before I did. And so then, when I started this company, I'm going to reach out to Jeff. I just, and I just was like, kept apologizing to him. He's like, Craig, don't ever apologize. If I connect you with someone, you're my friend and I'm helping you, and they're my friend and I'm helping them. So I get to help all my friends, and that makes me happy, right? So it brings me joy. So I think, for any entrepreneur, especially women entrepreneurs, reaching out and asking for help is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign that, hey, I don't know how to do this thing, or I can't, and I just need some assistance. And then, you'll figure it out soon enough, and you'll be able to do it on your own if you have to. But I think for me as an entrepreneur, that is one of the biggest lessons. The other one was, don't be afraid to ask for money. That was another one. From customers and investors and whoever. Don't be shy about asking for money. It's like a politician, like they always have to ask for your vote. Like, make sure you ask for the money. What do you hope, like if we have this conversation again in 10 years, what do you hope we're talking about? What's it going to look like in 10 years?
Well, I mean, if I can change that 2% by, if it can become 10%, oh my gosh, I'd be ecstatic. But even 10% is still really, really bad. But if I can just change that dial by just a little amount, I think I just want people to be aware. I want, governments, I want, politicians out there to be aware that this is something really, really bad, and that we need to focus on it. And if we can change that between everybody, and I can create awareness, and me personally in Athena and ECP, that we can invest in some incredible females. And I know there's going to be some unicorns in our business, because we've already got some superstars shining through at the moment. But if we can do everything at Athena to wrap our arms around as many founders as we can to make them a success, I would be really, really, really happy. One of the other things we're going to be doing within Athena is running a competition, because if somebody gave me a lucky break when I was, 25, 30, or whatever age actually, and said, look, we are going to give you an incredible idea. We believe you're an incredible person. And if we wrap Athena around it, you can create and we give you the investment, you can create an impressive business. How wonderful would that be to give somebody that would never normally have an opportunity or a chance, whether it's just because they've come from a poor background, or they've got diversity issues or anything. If I can do that and help somebody and just look back and think I've helped that person, or we've helped that person, that would feel really, really good for me.
That is a good feeling. One of the things that when we think about new technologies, and this question, I'm looking through the feed, and comes from Brian Shea, and he's talking about artificial intelligence and sort of new technologies that are coming out. And we've seen with big, huge companies how sort of having not a diverse group of engineers or founders or people can lead AI and things like that to not have good results for some groups of people, right? So it's and it's sort of really important to bring in people with different backgrounds and different point of views, because they can ask different questions and point the products in different areas. Are you seeing women in starting technology companies? Are they like, what types of companies are you seeing women be interested in and trying to start, or is it all over the place?
I mean, we mainly started off focusing in ESG related businesses, but ESG related businesses is very deep. So the technology is very deep. So AI would be, incredible in ESG related businesses like wastewater treatments or whatever. But our portfolio at the moment is quite mixed. Majority of it is in tech. I am actually being a little bit naughty in some respects, because that's what I know. Tech is my area, but I'm building teams up within Athena that we've got quite a lot of health and medical tech as well. And I think a lot of that has been because of COVID. The health tech world is opening up a lot more now. It's a lot easier. Policies are changing around NHS and governments around how quick it is to be able to get new medical and tech in. So we've got some incredible tech on our books. We've got quite a few of that. We've got ranges from all over the world, different life cycles, founders at different age groups. Our youngest, I say these two ladies, they started their business in their kitchen, and they might say, no, I'm wrong, but I think they're around about 24. Now we've got two incredible ladies that are turning over really great revenue in a vegan space. and they're 24. You know, revenue that they're turning over that you'd think, wow, that is incredible. How can 24-year-olds know about that? But yeah, so we have got quite a mixed bag in terms of, we've got a lot of fintech, we've got a lot of tech, ed tech, meditech, and then we've got a few in the space, as I've mentioned, around Africa, vegan related products as well. But there is, there's only the areas that you wouldn't expect us to invest in, you know, anything sort of fuels and things like that. But I think mainly the biggest tick in our box is anything that's going to, you know, change the planet. You know, that's great. But also being female gives us that ESG agenda.
Right. So I just have, you know, when I'm looking back on, you know, I started this company 11 years ago. And when I first started, I was really pursuing a friend of mine, a woman, to co-found the company with me. She's like, we got to do this together. And she's like, no, I can't. What you were, some of the things you were saying before, I can't do it. That's not for me. Sort of the imposter syndrome. She's amazing, by the way. She's gone on to do amazing things in other fields. And I think there was like 4 or 5 women in the first couple of years after I started the company that I heavily recruited, and I was unsuccessful every single time. And at the time, I was like, well, what's wrong with them? Right? Like, why won't they make the jump? Boy, they're just so, they won't take risks. They won't take chances, even though I'm assuring them as much as I could that we'll be successful. And it wasn't until after I sort of changed it's not about what's wrong with them. It's about how am I approaching them? Like, what can I do differently to recruit and attract a different group of people than, you know, traditionally I had around me. And we've made strides there. So, you know, we've had some ups and downs there. Very different organization than we were a few years ago. But what can men do? What can people do to help attract talent that maybe didn't think they could do it, even though you know they can?
So, I mean, it's been the old adage, and you probably heard this before, that women would, if they saw a job spec and there was one item on the job they couldn't do, they wouldn't apply for it. Whereas if it was a man and there was one item on the job spec they could do, they'd go for it. And I think all it is really giving the females an opportunity to say, look, you don't necessarily have to know how to do every item on the job spec today. We coach you, mentor you, and, you know, everybody's got to learn some way. Nobody was born knowing all the skills of a job spec. And it's given them the opportunity to sort of like go through those particular items within the job spec and say, look, no, these are the ones that we can help you with, but don't not apply for it just because there's one item that you can't do. And it's about training, education, mentoring, you know, giving the females that confidence that they can absolutely do it.
Right. And I know we're sort of we're going to wrap up here in a few minutes, but I do have just a couple more questions for you. One related to what we were talking about and one not. But you mentioned the 2 women starting the vegan company. Is there any other companies? Is there one that you're like really, really excited about that you want to give us a little hint? Like what can we expect?
Yeah, I mean, because of my background being in technology, I think the Africa ones I'm really excited about, and I'm really looking forward to be able to get on that plane and rolling my sleeves up and starting putting bricks on the ground on that one. I'm really excited about helping the youth in Africa. I think the other ones, I've got a couple in the financial services space. One's a regulatory reporting. We have one which is in the cybersecurity space. I think I really see them going really well. But I think there's a couple also, because of COVID and the world changing around e-commerce. We have a tech in the reverse logistics, which is absolutely incredible as well. And another one, because I'm a digital transformation expert, we've got one which is incredible, where lots of banks have legacy, so they find it really difficult to digitally transform, but they've got a platform that wraps around to enable it to happen faster. So, obviously, I'm doing what the men are doing now. I'm focusing on what I know and the technology I know, but they're the ones that I'm really excited about. And then Meditech, we've got an incredible cancer detection Meditech, which is incredible as well. And obviously that's these ones do mean they need a lot of time and research and development and money, but incredible. I really do believe some of these are going to go places. So I'm really excited. If I wake up every day at the moment and just think, what's happened, pinch myself, am I having a dream? Because I'm doing something that I absolutely adore and I love. And I think in my 38 years of my career, I've not really said that I've woken up every day working for a big corporate and feel like I'm making a difference to the world. So I am now, and I'm really lucky. And it's all thanks to Tony, Anthony Moore at ECP for giving me this opportunity, and my founders for believing in what we're doing, and all of the mentors and support and corporates that have now backed us. It's incredible.
That's amazing. The days must fly by, right? When you love what you do, it's all of a sudden it's 6 o'clock at night and you're like, I've been sitting here all day on the phone talking to people.
I have actually been sitting here all day, yes.
Well, I just have one more for you because I know it is late for you. And it's sort of changing the subject a little, but you and I were talking about this before we went live, and that is your ability to network. And you were saying that you've reached the limit on your LinkedIn connections, right? And I see, so how do you do that? Like, how can people, women or men, how can they expand their network? How can they leverage these platforms, whether it's Twitter or LinkedIn? How did you do it?
I'm stuck on my LinkedIn 24/7. So I'm a bit of a LinkedIn freak, but I love it because I learn so much. Every day is a school day for me when I'm reading LinkedIn, so I learn. But I think I've been on LinkedIn since day one. And also since day one, I've then moved on to working for big corporates, having some incredible roles in big corporates, having an opportunity to network with people. The last 2 years before COVID, I was traveling all around the world, public speaking on stage. And that automatically attracts a lot of people as well. But I just think, I'm interested in people and I want to help people. So I often reach out and say, look, can I help? But it's also choosing people. And this is really great for founders, really. It's choosing people in your network that you believe can get value from you, but you can also get value from them. And again, it's just reaching out and connecting with those people. And I think it's constant. You have to be constant on LinkedIn. Unfortunately, and those people that know me and have known me for years, they wake up every morning and they see Louise has done this and Louise has done that on LinkedIn. And it's because I'm on it 24/7. It becomes a bit viral and it's a bit addictive as well, actually, which is not great.
I will say when I check my LinkedIn feed in the morning, my alarm goes off and I'm still in bed and I go through my emails and I go through my LinkedIn and you're always there. I'm like, where does she find that? How did she find that? Oh, that's really good. Like. So, that's awesome. Well, Louise, thank you so much for a few things. Thanks for all your help during the years. Thanks for joining us on this webinar. And also thanks for all the work that you're doing. It's really important, valuable work. And if people want to get a hold of you, what's the best way for them to contact you?
Yes. LinkedIn. No, feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. I mean, if there's anything I can do to help anybody, and if anybody wants to be involved or participate with Athena, we've got a short survey because we're building up a database that we can put on our website when the founders can access that. So if anybody wants to be involved in any capacity, if there's any female founders out there or any mentors that are interested or corporates, it's about helping each other and giving back. And if we can all together change that 2%, that will be incredible. So LinkedIn, or those that know me on WhatsApp as well.
Awesome. Excellent. Well, good luck, Louise. I'm sure you're going to be an amazing success. Sounds like you've got a lot of people that need your help out there. So
thank you very
wish you
much.
Nothing but the best. And thank you, everybody, for joining us and for your time today. Get in touch with Louise if you need any help.
Brilliant. Thanks very much, Craig. It's awesome. Cheers.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Bye.